Today we're going to make a video about packing for the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. When you're packing on a canoe trip, there's a lot of things that you want to try and take into account. Primarily the biggest thing you have to think about is the amount of space that you have. So I'm going to cover some different ways that you can use to save space. I'm also going to cover some of the things that you should be bringing on your Boundary Waters canoe trip in order to be comfortable. So, start by unpacking a basic pack. Now this may or may not be the style of pack that you actually use. There's lots of different packing styles. We'll cover that some other time. But we'll just go over what's inside here. Okay, this is a camp pillow. Notice how small that is. Or another thing. This is my sleeping bag. We put it into a stuff sack, and the stuff sack has these straps on it that you can pull them nice and tight, and this will cause it to compress down and take as much air out of it as possible. A lot of people's sleeping bag without a compression sack, it would take up most of their bag on the inside, and it's a waste of space. But with a compression sack, you can compress this thing down and get a lot more usage out of your pack. This is my sleeping pad. This is a Thermarest sleeping pad. It's only a 3/4 length. And reality is you don't need a full-length sleeping pad inside of a tent, because there's other things that you can put down by your feet or down by your head in order to be comfortable. Big bag here. This bag here represents all of my clothing. And this last bag here is an extra bag that you can use for other kinds of things when you're in the Boundary Waters. Primarily, I like to use an extra bag for all of the dirty clothes that I have. So now I want to go over some of the different things that I've packed in regards to clothes. Thing in here. Very important. So I'm going to take the sleeping bag, sleeping pad, and the pillow and put that off to the side for now, and we'll dig into this clothing bag. This is really important when you've got your clothes all packed up and rolled up tight like this. This keeps things organized. So if you have to share a pack with another person, all you have to do is drop this inside of your pack and take it out, and that will help you keep everything organized, keep everything in a place where it can be easily packed and put back away. So if you notice, the first thing that I put on top of this bag is warm clothing. Okay, so this is a really important aspect. If you need to have something warm, like if it's cold out and you need to put on another layer, you can easily get this out. So another thing that I'll bring into the Boundary Waters is a simple pair of hat and a mittens. In northern Minnesota, the temperature swings can vary wildly, and you don't really know what to expect from day to day. I think the only month that it has never snowed up in the Boundary Waters is in July. I've gone up there and had it been over 100 degrees, and I've also gone up there in the summertime, and it's been down into the 30s. So you want to be prepared for cold weather, even though you might not even need to use it. So, swimsuit. Depending on the weather, you may have an opportunity to swim. Wool socks. These are really important because in cold weather, wool will actually keep you warm even when it's wet. Cotton will not do that, but wool will do that, and you can greatly make your experience a lot more comfortable by carrying some wool socks with you. couple pairs of underwear, you'll need those for a trip. Old shirts, old t-shirts. Notice how I roll everything down to save space. It also helps me organize everything in here and it makes it easy to take out and put back in. Try and just cram all your clothes in there together, that causes a big problem, especially when you're trying to pull things out. Everything else is going to come out with it. So I've got another couple pairs of socks. Next thing I'm pulling out, a pair of pants. These are special pants. These are called zip-off pants. These are very important because you can zip off the legs and they turn into shorts. So if you get yourself into a situation where you're getting cold, you can put on pants really easily just by putting on the legs. Or if you're getting very warm and you want to go and you have to get out of the canoe for whatever reason and walk in the water, you can zip off the legs and not completely get your pants wet. I have another pair of zip-off pants. The material of these zip-off pants, this is not cotton. This is it's a synthetic material that dries quickly, and this is something that you might want to consider when you go out and buy your clothes. I have another pair of really light khaki shorts. And another pair of green shorts. There's a couple of different theories about packing and colors for the Boundary Waters. One of them is that, you know, if you want to go and see some different kinds of things and make the least amount of how should I say it, impact due to like your colors, you can wear colors like this that sort of blend into the natural background. However, there's the theory that if you've got really bright colors on, that's going to help you be seen in an emergency. So depending on your group, depending on your needs, your group leader may decide to have everybody bring really bright colors so that everyone can be easily seen in an emergency. So last thing I'll bring are a couple of long sleeve shirts, and one of them is actually this material. This is called a thermal underwear, so it makes a really great under layer to keep you warm on those cold, rainy days. Another thing that I'll pack in the Boundary Waters is a light coat. Here's what I like. This shell I've had for years and years. It's got a nice hood. It's semi-waterproof. You can put this on and you can easily layer underneath this thing and keep yourself warm in a pinch. So I'll put this in its own bag so that if I need to grab it out of my bag because it's getting really cold or something like that, I can pull this out, put this on easily, and it's still not going to be kind of free floating inside the pack. It's really important. Put this back inside of its bag. There's some other things inside this bag I'll cover at a later date. That's a different story. This bag here, this is another compression sack. I've got an extra sweater in this, just in case the one that I brought gets wet. It's good to have a backup that you're going to keep in kind of a tucked out of the way, dry place. So if you do end up getting cold and wet, you have some dry clothes. What I recommend is that if you put an extra sweater in there, you put it somewhere where you know it's going to stay dry, and you leave it there in case you really need it, and just let that kind of sit there as a backup. Another thing you can bring small towel. Okay, this is pretty handy. Like if you do go swimming, or if you want to get clean, you can wash your hands and your face. You can let this dry. Probably bring an old bag, like plastic bag for this, as soon as it gets dirty. So the dirty clothes, you can put them into its own bag, and you can actually cinch this compression bag. You don't need a compression bag for your dirty clothes. It is kind of nice though to cinch those down and limit some of the smell that's going to come off of these after a long camping trip. But the key, I guess, the key reason why you want to bring another bag for your dirty clothes is so that things don't get lost. They're not swimming all over your pack, and it's not a gigantic pain in the you-know-what when you have to try and unpack this. Now I've seen a lot of people's packs. They just sort of throw everything in there, and it's chaos. And as soon as they pull one thing out, it's like drawing out the end of a yarn ball. It's going to pull everything out with it, and it's really, really crazy. So, staying organized, making sure that you're planning for the weather, making sure that you're planning for space, that's really, really important. I will send out a detailed packing list of the kinds of things that you're going to need, but all of the things that I just pulled out are pretty much the basics. You can get this at a sporting goods store. You don't necessarily have to buy like top-end clothing or anything like that. In fact, I would recommend against that. There's a good chance that a lot of the things that you're going to wear on a wilderness camping trip are going to get wrecked. Okay, so just kind of know that in advance before you go out and spend hundreds of dollars on all the fancy camping clothing. So that is packing for the Boundary Waters. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know.